Good afternoon. Welcome to the Market Watch Group Weekly Market Wrap. My name is Scott. I'll be your host. Well, we had ourselves a day. Well, I would imagine that it didn't do any worse damage. We talked about most things. Clint said, yeah, real chuckle. How is it? Are you in anything? Did you already shut most things down? Is anyone hedging? Is anyone bearish? Taking bearish trades? Let's talk about it. Looked okay this morning. Yeah, Duke Energy's running, baby, running. Very nice. Holding that put. Well done, Clint. Patience is probably paying off with that one now. I am not holding that put, but at the same time, I'm also not holding any bullish trades either. So, now whether I took another one, I tend to move in and out of those things quickly. All right, let's get to it. Oh, I didn't even look at LNG. We'll take a peek. Whoops. Disclaimers, as always, remember, education illustrative purposes only. We do not give recommendations to buy or sell any individual security or financial product. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. Yada, yada, yada. Today, we're going to look at the market analysis. What happened? Well, there's sellers, and there's a lot of them. So we keep thinking our volume is like maybe, and then it's like, no, it drops back down again. However, if we just are kind of up a half a point, down half a point on the VIX or on our market posture, it's not terrible yet. So, thoughts of NU, New Bank. Yes, we'll take a peek. Mindset for open trades. Obviously, if you have bearish things, you're going to carry it. If you have non-market cycle things like Duke Energy that are moving outside of the market, you'll carry it. Bullish things, probably not so much. All right, let's keep going. Let's get into it. How's everybody's trading plan? Routines looking good? Looking stronger? Routines? Feeling good about them? Let's go take a look at the market. Oh, man, we're getting closer to 2%. Oh, it just keeps on grinding. Not great. And average volume is 41 million. We're already at 46. It's already triggering. Right? So I can just preemptively just move this over here, set her down. Hold on. Building routines. Got it. Good. Let me or us as a group know if you have questions, certainly. This is a collaborative effort. As we look. Come on, Scott. It's like I can't talk and activate my chart at the same time. Ooh, there we go. And I can't seem to do it without making sound effects. I don't know what the problem is. We just made a new high, so that's good for the buyers. This is a big selling day. That's not good for the buyers. But my last low, I am marking, and I want to hear from the crew. Where's my drawing tools? Oh, Fridays. Anyone have anything fun planned for this weekend? This is for me the last low through here, right? Like on this little gap, it was just like kind of, this didn't really happen. It just sort of moved down. Concert. Ooh, anything good? And then we moved past it. So I'm looking at this relative to this. And then we're over here wondering. I don't think you would know them. Okay. Now I'm offended. Put it out there. I want to see if I do. Is it local or is it old school or is it culturally outside of world renowned? Okay. So now you might think to yourself, well, what about this little guy over here? Tucanes de Tijuana. Okay, very cool. Did I say it right? Did I? Okay, there you go. Yeah, I'm okay. You guys tell me, because if you're a stickler to lows and you see this as the low, you don't have a lot of room. But if you see this as the low, then next week gives us it gives us this. Yeah? Kami likes it. Very nice. So I'm okay if we were to slow down into next week and then pop out of it. I would be like, yeah, okay. Give me your thoughts. Do you agree? Now, let's talk about the market posture proactively. We've already said volume is going to drop again, right? We said there was a chance. Let me get my posture score. Where are you? There was a chance volume was going to get to 0. Now I think it's actually going to possibly tick back to a minus 0.5. At the very least, it's going to stay at a minus 0.25 at the very, very least. And I want you to notice what's interesting is our sanity check that has been, we're like, oh man, we're negative, but the sanity check says it's still going higher. All of a sudden, that sanity check's straight across. Probably why Clint's like, I'm holding on to my hedge still. Lovely. Yeah, so volume is at the very least gonna stay. Question, are we trading on the SPY or just looking at the technical to check markets? I would say both. I love trading the SPY. If you noticed, the puts that came out were SPY puts. I love the SPY because the SPY is the most liquid stock for options in the world. The world. You will not find anything with more options like to choose from. You've got weekly after weekly and quarterly and month. I mean, you've got all leaps for day. I mean, it's just, you've got contracts everywhere for day trading, especially. And I'll tell you why. So you've got every possible expiration, every possible strike price, dollar increments everywhere you go. And then look at your open interest and your volume. And it's just everywhere you go, same thing. Tens of thousands, not thousands, tens of thousands. Now, what does that do for us? The last place that we go to look, and this is especially true, whatever you're doing with options from a liquidity standpoint, and phenomenal question, so thank you for asking it, is magnified with day trading in terms of liquidity, i.e. open interest and spreads. If you're going to trade actively in and out, in and out, in and out like a day trader does, you don't want to be giving a lot up in slippage to the market makers. So when you go look at the bid-ask differential on SPY contracts, you're going to find pennies, which means you're paying dollars for contracts. So, and if you're doing spreads, same thing. Anything, we haven't seen a lot of it. Maybe we will now, maybe we will in the summer. When I do sideways trades, calendar spreads, boom, SPY. Every time I'm going to do it first on SPY. I'll also do it IWM, QQQ, maybe DIA, right, on the broad market ETFs. But I want stability, which broad market ETFs tend to give us, and I want liquidity, which they definitely give us. And so that's a great question. Now, I use the SPY because people are like, why not the SPX? Well, because the SPX doesn't give you volume analysis. It doesn't trade. It's an index. It's just a bunch of numbers, right? It just takes the all 500 numbers in a formula, multiplies them, and says this is the index price. That's just a formula. But this is tradable. People buy this. They own this. We trade options on this. So SPY, you can see if I take my chart, we're not going to trade likely today, so good discussions are in order. If I take my chart to SPX, I want you to notice there's no volume panel anymore. Why? Because it's an index. Indexes don't trade. They tick because the components of the index are trading. And when the components of the index trade, it goes into the formula, and the formula spits out a final number, and so that number is going up and down as the components trade. But the SPX does not trade. The SPX is just simply a representation. The SPY trades. Can you trade the SPX? Yes, but you can only trade the SPX with options. The SPY trades, and the SPY trades options. Subtle, but different. I hope that makes sense, but I do absolutely trade a lot of different things. If there's ever a time where I'm like, sometimes, if this is going to go deeper into options analysis, I will do a portfolio analysis where I look at my posture overall and I look at my Greeks, not one at a time, but my net portfolio Greeks, where I say, oh, look at this, my delta is here, my theta is here. And I'll say, oh man, I feel like I could use more delta or more theta, or right, something where I feel like from a time volatility or price standpoint, I'm at risk relative to my posture, and I put on a trade just to balance. Anytime I do a balancing trade, it's with the SPY because that's the balanced index, right? So yeah, it's a great tool, and for us, it's also the, in quotes, market. So when we say the market's up, I'm talking about the S&P. I don't care about the Dow. We look at the Dow and the NASDAQ and the Russell in a comparative fashion for relative strength major market analysis. But when I look at the market, the S&P is the one I'm looking at. Okay. Baby. Let's keep going now. So it's coming back a little bit, but for me, volume going to stay the same at the best. I don't know. I kind of feel like this might be, this feels like a minus 0.5, right? It feels like it's going to drop. Maybe stays, maybe drops. Short-term score, we did get a higher high. However, right now I feel like, I think we're a 1.25. That just feels fine. 1.25 feels fine, both long-term and short-term. 1.25 is what? Something like this. Right? It's a nice positive trend. Certainly we could see much, much stronger than that where it gets to a 2.25, maybe even 2.5. But no, right now it's a nice solid trend. You'll notice today is in line with this trend, so I'm not going to score it up or down. I'm not going to score this higher high because I feel like that higher high is already represented in the trend. But I'm also not going to score what it's doing now because that's in line with the current trend, 1.25. Real quickly, if we look at the red lines are lines right now. Now, I want you to notice that once again, we did not get to the top. We bounced off the bottom, but we did not get to the top. if we hold the bottom, I'm going to be okay with that. But if we break the bottom of the red line in this next downward move, my trend score will drop again. Probably, it's hard to say to what, but we really hit the same high right here. Well, it could be. Let me see what color is going to stand out here. Pink. This could be an ascending triangle. You see that pink one? Where we come down just a little bit and then bounce, and then we have a nice bullish expectation from there, which could give us that bullish March and April before we get to May and give us a nice little piece, right? And then maybe it goes sideways in the summer, something like that. My short-term trend is going to stay the same. My long-term trend is going to stay the same. My volume is going to, at best, stay the same or drop. Give me your thoughts if you have any yet. We don't really look at major market or sector rotation until Sundays. And I'm not going to do it differently now. But I am going to take a look at the VIX. Oy vey. Now, we are oriented around this, but overall, I do still see the prospects of this in place, which would allow for this. However, we took out this high. This was not a higher low. In fact, from bodies, this got back down to here. This was same low. So this was not, it wasn't a lower low either, though. But we did just this time get a higher high. We took out that high, which means, we are going to lose a quarter of a point. So I think we're going to drop a half, maybe a quarter, but probably a half. Up a quarter, up a half, down a half, up a half, down a half. That's just fluctuations. That's not shifts in market tone and market posture. This is what I mean when I say that. So from January the 5th, when we were at a 5.5, we dropped one more hard time, 1.5 points. And then from here, up a half, down 3/4. Stays the same. Up a half. Next week, down a half. But you'll notice we'll have been between 4 and 4.25 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. 7 weeks. 7 weeks of the market just kind of showing that sideways. 7 weeks back, where does that put us? I mean, look where it is. 7 weeks. Whatever, you can see we're just kind of stuck. If I draw this line right here, you can see we're just oriented around this line right now. We drop below it, come back, drop below it, come back, go above it, come back, go above it, come back, go above it, come back. Really, really stuck right around where? This 600 level here. We got a little bit higher, but not by much, not enough, it doesn't seem. Unless we stabilize. If we can stabilize and bounce, then we make another run and see if we can't bust up out of it. But yeah, if you're looking at the market like, man, it feels like it's been a little harder. It has. It doesn't feel like it. It has. Look at it. Do you look at this and think, man, there's just been a bunch of low-hanging fruit and I've missed it? Nope. You look back and you think, you know what? If over this period of time you're positive, right? And you can go back to here or even here. Still the same point. Since November, basically since the election, actually, if you look at that. Within 2 days of the election, we were at 600. And right now, we're still at 600. Yeah, it's so if you're positive, you're ahead of the market. If you're even, you're with the market. If you're down, then there's like, okay, what happened? What happened? And you can mark it from wherever, right? Pick your point. You could draw a line here. You could draw a line here. You could draw a line here, here, here. Any of those points, draw it. Look at your results. So if you say, hey man, you know what? I took this one here first. I'm going to change colors because I'm saying here. I took this one here, this green, and it didn't look great. Maybe you were slightly below, but you take one step back, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, but when I do this, make sure you give yourself a reasonable perspective that's like, okay, where am I at? Always good for us to take a minute, step back, and assess. Okay, let's go to the watch list. What's the news that we need to talk about? What's the news? Stocks sink as consumers start to sour on the economy. I mean, these guys look okay. I think it's not terrible. 8th weekly gains amid uncertainty of tariffs. Consumer sentiment falls over tariff uncertainty. So whatever the political ambitions from the tariff are, hopefully they're being weighed by the damper they're putting on the general consumer, on the market. We were all very jubilant and bullish. But it's interesting now when you're like, hey, we were bullish here, and then after that we got a great opportunity for a window of trades here. But since that time, it's a dogfight, right? The general enthusiasm has not manifested. Yeah. It is what it is. It hasn't. Is it going to? Are we going to? Do we have the ability still? Yes, I think so. We're a little late, but could we still get a nice couple of months of a spring rally? Yeah, we'll see. If we if we break this red line, that's not going to be very hopeful at that point. Is the way I would phrase it. Okay, let's get to the list. Apple actually looks great. It looks great, and it just had after some negative news, and you can kind of see what happened. We had this. We busted up out of it. We pulled back, and there's our pattern. And I want you to notice what happened is you might have said, oh, there's the trade, and it hiccuped. When you say, what do you mean hiccup, Scott? Well, that's the hiccup. It gave a signal, popped back down, never broke support, though. And then it turned, and then it made the move. Apple, right? Everything that we talk about from a standpoint of supply and demand and a shift took place. Now what? Well, now you just had this is clearly at a resistance level, so you likely are out of the trade, or even more so now. And what are we looking for? Well, I would say that there's a zone somewhere between this area. I'm going to look for it to pull back. Maybe there. Maybe it gets into here. This comes down. This looks fabulous, and it's Apple, which means it's 11% of the NASDAQ, and it's 6% of the S&P. It's a big piece of a market being bullish, is Apple being bullish. As Apple goes, so goes the NASDAQ. As the NASDAQ goes, so goes the market. I mean, it's a pretty big domino effect to see this thing recovering after this nasty drop right here. That's great. Looking for the next trade. Okay. Amazon. Oh, right. I want you to notice we were like thinking about it here, but there was earnings. And then we're like, okay, maybe here all it has to do is turn. It didn't turn. A couple more days and we're like, you know what? It's really like it's now or it's not at all. And it didn't. So we can't then be like, well, there is no more now. We said it was now or not at all. What does that mean? It means this is shifted its status. Excommunicado. This is in place. Now what does it have to do? It's got to bust it. It's got to get up there. It's got to come back, and it's got to give me one of those. Or we do not trade it. It's that simple. That simple. Questions, comments, let me know. But it might put a little damper on the sector rotation for consumer cyclicals this week. AppLovin, big, beautiful earnings report. Now we're filling the gap. This was prior resistance. We haven't got all the way, but we're very close. I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm not necessarily like, oh, now I hate it. I mean, clearly there was an overreaction to that earnings, and now it's giving it back. So I don't think we know yet. I'm suspicious of it, though. A lot of volatility there that we may not want to contend with. Alibaba, my goodness, Alibaba. You look magnificent. Waiting for the train to slow down so I can try to get on. I'm not going to jump on the moving train, though. That's dangerous. Maybe as a younger man. Financials continue to struggle. You can see Bank of America down. BX down. Industrials also continue to struggle. Caterpillar down. There's Chewy was a new one for us for consumer discretionary. Honestly, when I put a new one on like this and it won't hold one time, yeah, it's gone. Yeah, we got no time. We'll find new ones after that. Sienna, it's on a hiccup. If it holds this level on the 50 next week, I still have time. CLS, you can see CLS is actually kind of gum a little bit through there. I don't know. We'll watch those and see. I think Sienna maybe looks a little better. Chicago Mercantile. I want you to notice that this has gone through like a downward cycle. Even though it's kind of in a little bit of a pennant triangle type shape. If this busts out and turns up right here, I think you would have to think about it. If it continued down, as long as it doesn't get below this, I think you could still look for a trade. So I think CME is a nice one. This is new. We added it recently, and it's very strong. Clearly a market leader. Give me your thoughts. Cisco looks fabulous. Fabulous, setting up. You can see that same kind of a thought process here. Right? What do we think about this? We talked about how it's really not that different from a flag. I want you to notice that the volume here is very different. We're not looking at 50 or 140, 150%, 200%. We're looking at 50%. So Cisco finding support in here and turning. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, we want another trade here. We've got a couple in our belt. Didn't trade because of earnings. I'm ready for another one. How about you? Delta. Nope. Breaking down. Diamonds. Breaking down. Duke. Woo-wee. Delta's going on a run. Very nice. Fastenal. I still like Fastenal. If Fastenal pulls back in this range without breaking and turns, I think Fastenal is a better representation bullishly of industrials right now than Caterpillar is. FHN, First Horizon. We picked it up. It's right on the precipice here. If on Monday it goes inside day and comes away from that, I'll keep watching it. Anything other than that, it's gone. I'm gonna give it one last hoorah, and then A new one that failed away. Oh, we were looking for a new trade here. Man, I'll tell you what. I was looking for it. A lot of you got out before I did. Still ended up picking up a little piece, but I'm fine with that. I'm always going to see if I can't let it catch something. The new trade developing just doesn't look like it's in the cards. Same thing, though. I mean, we were down here, and now we're here. So if I get an inside day and then it turns, then maybe I'll move these lines down and see if this thing has something in the cards. Did I miss? NU was one of them that came out. Did anyone else give me a new symbol today? LNG was another one. NU and L. Remember, we try to keep it alphabetically, so let me... Don't forget that. I'm superstitious. Foxa, great trade. Looking for the pullback. Bitcoin keeps failing to launch here. I don't know about that. GE Vernova, bam. Oh, not good. Thinking there may be a sneaky reversal developing now. It's going to be lucky if it holds on here. Just having fun. Love it. Love it. Gold. I mean, yes, that's an 8th straight week, but it's also overextended. Very overextended. This party, cops, you can hear the sirens. At least 3 people passed out in the front yard. That's where this party is. I'm just saying. Google. Nah, right? We already said Google was a nah until it did something. It's got to pay the price, and yet it continues in its excommunicado status. Goldman. Oh, man. Goldman and Morgan. They did a number on us. Well, I'll tell you, financials can just give it, and then it can recover, so we're not going to just be like, oh, now I hate financials. Yeah, for now. I mean, it doesn't look great, but if it stabilizes and does one of these, we can find it, right? You can kind of see like here. Boom, boom, boom. Try to catch into something like that, although that was earnings motivated. So we'll see what happens. Robinhood. Is it a pullback or a sell-off? It's feeling a lot more like a sell-off to me now. We filled the gap. We're all the way back here to this level. Not to this level yet, and we're still above the 50, but it doesn't look good. You guys are so quiet today. I feel like I'm monologuing today. You guys know I prefer dialogue. Oh, HTHT looks good, though. That's a nice looking flag. Yeah. Nice solid push. Now we enter flag status. I would say mesmerized. Clint, Clint knows. That's funny. I do like HTHT. This is a new one, but I like it's a strong breakout starting happy hour earlier. I'm thinking the same thing. I was actually thinking, like, I poured a coffee and I was like, just dump a little Kahlua in it just because it's Friday and you like it. I didn't, but I thought about it. Howmet, oh, bam, just smashed. But I want you to notice that this volume is stronger than this volume. Even though it's a big red candle. Even though it's a big red candle. I can think it. About to tip the cup. Love it. Love it. IBM. Great. There's one of those where it held. And we're like, hey, it held. Good trade. And even, not a great trade, but a good trade. Got to the old high. If I get a higher low here, so I'm extending this and basically saying anywhere through here, preferably at that 50% zone. Boom. Yeah, I'm looking for IBM this week for the next opportunity after it made that strong move statement after earnings. Good discussion on drink of choice. I think IP is reasonable. I would actually trade this. It doesn't always have to have this perfect trend. It had a consolidation. It came out of it, popped, coming down. If I get another higher low right here and it comes out of it, my thought is this is where we go back up to that level. And I've got a nice little trade on my hands. There's my take profit zone probably. That's my thought for International Paper trying to make that run again. Drinking water. I'm drinking water too. Filtered through coffee beans. With a little cream. That's how I stay hydrated. I'm all about my health. Okay. IWM. What time is it? Oh, we have 17 minutes. Oh, man, the small caps. So remember, we've been watching the race for third between the Dow and the Russell dropping 2.5 when the Dow only drops 1.5. That continues. It's been feeling more defensive. Back in November, December, when the Dow was moving, we're like, this just feels correlative, not defensive. It just is everything's moving. It's not like people aren't going to be bullish on large caps in addition to everything else. But now we're like, now all of a sudden it's moving in a way where it feels like it's defensive shifts. So we do have to be mindful of that in our analysis on Sunday, for sure. Because seeing that this is 1% worse certainly does not bode well for our major market this week. MasterCard looks okay. Shall we add? So thinking about some defensives. Yeah, you're at a good time. I advanced, but I haven't talked about it yet, so I can easily sneak the K in. Coca-Cola for a consumer defensive. Yeah, that's a nice one there. I like putting Coke on. Coca-Cola for a pullback. You can see it's getting close to that old high right through there that it would then maybe have a pullback, but consumer defensive might be a good place for us to go. That's a good call out. Okay, MasterCard. It's been grinding along at resistance. Now it's pulling back. I actually feel like I'm going to jump. I feel like Visa's the strongest one, though. Agree or disagree? I feel like they're very similar, only Visa made a stronger push to a higher high and now is consolidating in a flag type fashion. Definitely more of a pattern that we're used to. So I'm going to say I'm leaning more this way, but maybe you like MasterCard. That's what I mean. You can see more flat here. Meta. Okay. This is the place right through here. Right through this little transition, this old high that we broke out of with earnings. Yeah, I'd like to see it hold. If it holds here, we have a trade next week for me. Give me like something down in here and then turn up out of it. And it's like, yeah, it'd be fantastic. We'll look for that. So are we like, oh man, there's nothing to trade? There's plenty still here to trade. Is there concerns about the market? Yeah, but our posture is going to drop 0.5 point. That's not overly concerning. If the next week it drops again, that would be concerning because we would have been in the 4 to 5.5 range, really holding steady. And then if all of a sudden it busts down again, that's where it's like that feels more of a breakout. At that point, I would absolutely start becoming more speculatively bearish, not just like, hey, I'm hedging and looking for my next bear bull trades. Then I'd be like, hey, this thing just kept trying and couldn't. We're not the only ones who are noticing that. That's when we may see something else start to develop. Morgan let us down. Boo. Boo. Yeah, I'm booing it. I am. Microsoft, no. NDAQ, maybe. Maybe meaning what? Meaning you might have seen this and said that's just the first breakout, and now, as long as it doesn't get back to here, then I have a trade on my hands coming out of that. Okay, so we'll be open to that possibility. Netflix still looks viable to me. You'll notice that we have another one of those little hiccup things here. I'm okay if we break through that. I am not okay if we break through that. Because we're so far above the 50-day, even if we come down a little further, but if we stabilize and turn, that's still happening above the 50. Viable. Buffalo Trace is up. I saw a $50,000 bottle of whiskey when I was in Scotland at one of the whiskey stores. Actually, I saw when we went into Harrods in London, I have a picture of my son with next to a 100,000-pound bottle of cognac. 100,000 pounds, which was like $120,000. One bottle of cognac. Anyways. That's for someone with my... The funny thing is, I talked to the whiskey people and I said, okay, 50 grand, is it worth it? Like, I bet you could find me a $200 bottle of whiskey that's as good or better. And the guy's like, oh, for sure. He showed me this one. He's like, this is a perfect bottle of whiskey. He said, although everyone has different tastes, $200 for perfect. I'll be like, I wouldn't want it. There's no way that a shot of whiskey from a 50,000 would taste good enough. I'd actually be mad. I'd be like, nah, I wouldn't do it. It would offend my sensibilities. Japanese whiskey, Suntory, is the best top shelf 55K. See, I couldn't do it, you know? I think for me, same thing with wines. Couple $100. Anything above that, like if you start paying thousands, it just can't be good enough for it to be worth me paying that much more. I mean, I wear my kids call me a cheap bastard, and I wear it like a badge of honor, you know. The rich and foolish, more money than sense. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Clint said, liked it when I was in Oklahoma 40 years. Maybe it was cheaper back then. Oh, NVIDIA. NVIDIA, you can get one shot for $250. Oh, I couldn't do it. For $250, I want a pair of shoes, like 3 pairs of pants, of like 5 shirts, fill up my tank of gas, and eat dinner. I think you're right, Sandy. I think 100% that's right. Anyways, I think NVIDIA would be setting up for a trade right now if it weren't for those earnings just looming 3 days away. So be careful for that. Yeah, you read my mind quite literally. Quite literally. Yes. Yeah, I get clothes at Costco. I'm not going to lie. It's so convenient. PLTR is one of my favorites. Oh, come on, PLTR. It's still viable, you guys. It was an engulfing today, but it didn't engulf with a ton of volume. We're still holding. We still have... We still also have this little, whoops, not that much. We still have this little cushion. They could test and hold. I want this one. Q's. Doesn't look good. Big sell day, but the trend is still intact. RBLX actually is one you might still be able to hold on to if you did. It's just flirting still with this support level here. Not a heavy selling day. Barely any volume down there. So, Reddit. It's same thing, right? It's a funny thing when we watch these. Because here we're like, oh, that looks like it could be good. And then here we're like, I don't know, maybe we still like it. And then here we're like, nope. Now we just wait. Rocket Lab, no. Oh, that looks great. And plenty of time. I still have trades from leading stocks that if this thing's going to bootstrap up, we see it. Right? So I'm feeling pretty okay about this one. This is a new one. I like that. Snowflake maybe, but earnings are there, so be careful. SoFi gave it all back like a lot of the financials did. SPY didn't hit 2%, but real close. Volume doesn't look great. TJX, I think, is bouncing. Yeah, you're gone. Consumers, we'll find some new consumer stocks. Toast. Maybe we'll see TPR. Looks fabulous. That looks great. Market's getting beat up a little bit. This thing, look how this is selling. Hardly any. I'd be okay with that all the way back to here. Love it. Tesla. Rolling over. TSM. Tesla. If Tesla breaks. 330. I kind of feel like it's heading back down here. TSM. I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit intrigued by that. Maybe next week we'll see. Twilio, no. Bullish dollar, stable. Visa, yes. VFC, yeah. I'd still think about VFC. VIK, if it can hold. It's got to hold. Yeah. If it holds the 50, looks to turn, I think I'd still be interested. VIX has pulled back, but still overall high. Walmart, man. Walmart went from a darling to just like trying to figure it out. That earnings report did not bode well. Let's finish with XPEV, and then we'll go talk about strong stock. Just so strong. It's just overextended significantly. Stochastics overbought. Big old shooting star candle today. Definitely looking for a consolidation here, but I would absolutely look to trade this coming out of a consolidation. So what's the word? Hopefully you feel managed. You're probably not carrying a ton. I wouldn't expect many of us to have a lot of risk based on posture score and what the market's doing right now. Patience is the flavor of the week. Starting next week, we'll have opportunities. I would expect there to be a little bit less of a short list, of a focus list next time. We'll see. Good to see you, Sandy. Don't forget your trading plans. Don't forget your trading plans. Get those routines developed, at least daily and weekly. And if you can, get your daily broken up into 3 chunks: pre-market, during market, after market. If not, break it up however you can. LNG. I didn't talk about LNG. Sorry. I know that was another one. Yeah, natural gas not as strong. Yeah. But Duke definitely smashing pretty well. Hey, be careful in those 6 inches of snow. I've got 37 in sun right now. It's pretty okay. And NVC, let's pull it up. If you're doing anything fun, be careful. Be careful at the. Be careful at that concert. I took my daughter when she was like, I don't know, 11, and a friend, and we went to a Post Malone concert. It was pretty cool, but it was funny because like there was a fight that came, and I'm like, oh, I thought I was gonna have to go Gen X and be like, you guys don't know, don't bring that fight over by these girls. Anyways, okay. I'll have to tell you a funny story. We don't have time now. But actually, there was a time I wasn't like in it, but like I had to push it away. Big old fight right outside of a soccer game when it was me, my son, his friend, and my daughter, and that was it. Crazy. Anyways, routines, get them developed. It's good to see everybody. Be safe. Have a great weekend. Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Let's talk about it. I think we're fine. Nothing about this has me like, oh, what are we gonna do? Do we have some concerns? Of course we do. Obviously, right? We understand what the market can be. Are we panicked? No, not in any stretch. Not even a little bit. All we need is a plan, work the plan, go forward. We're good. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. See you Sunday. As always, happy trading.
Recording stopped.